So you want a bike that can basically do everything, but not have the crazy high price tag of some of the carbon fiber wonder bikes that are on sale today? Well, this bike in front of me is what I believe is one of the best bikes that accomplishes the task of just about any road or light gravel usage for well under $2,000. So in this video, we're checking out the 2023 Trek Domane AL4. And we'll go into the features and designs of this bike, and of course, follow it up with exactly what it weighs. Speaking Trek Domane. Now, in the intro, you heard me say this is a road bike that can pretty much do everything. And to be more clear, what I mean by that is everything that a thinner tired 700C road bike ought to do. Of course, this is no mountain bike, this is no bike packing rig. However, it's going to allow you quite a bit of capabilities. So Trek, their Domane series, is what they call their endurance road bike. So endurance road bike means that the front end of this bike is relatively high. The reach from the saddle forward, or rather the center line from the crankset forward, is relatively short. And that means you're going to have a nice upright and comfortable position for long rides. And Trek, in their Domane series, makes a few different levels, but this being the AL version means that this is made out of their Alpha Platinum aluminum. So it's an aluminum frame rather than the carbon that you see on the S or the SL versions of the bike, but it still features a carbon fiber OCLV fork, which is going to help save some weight up front, but also another benefit of a carbon fork is it's going to allow for less vibration transfer and more absorption before you get to the handlebars. But this aluminum frame features some pretty neat things that make it compelling in my mind. First off, the bike is internal cable routing. You can see it goes in and then it comes out just below the crankset, and then it's external to the rear. And why I like this is it's actually really easy to service and replace the cabling on this bike, but it still gets the job done, making the bike look clean and well finished. It has a threaded bottom bracket in the center for nice durability. You have through axles in the rear as well as the front, which is the best way to be attaching the wheels to the bike. And then you have nice features like a rack mount setup for the rear. You can run a traditional rack carrying some gear, light backpacking, or even riding it to work with your work bag, as well as fender clearance and up to 35 millimeter tires without fenders, allowing the bike to be a little more bike packing capable. You'll see up top on the top tube, there's room to be able to put a bento box with braze-ons to attach it securely, 2 water bottle cage mounts, as well as on the down tube, you can see there's another water bottle cage mount as well. And that means this bike is capable of doing some adventure riding, some light gravel, if you were to swap out these 700 by 32 millimeter tires for that wider 35C size. Add a top tube bag, 3 water bottles, as well as the ability to carry gear on the rear, should give this bike all day capabilities, as well as you could just run it relatively plain like we have here and have a nice, comfortable endurance road bike for your Saturday or Sunday morning rides. Well, anyways, the other thing that I really like about this bike is being that it's an AL4, it slots in just below the AL5, which is the top end variant of this bike, but it is up a couple of rungs as far as part spec. And for that, you're going to get a Shimano Tiagra drivetrain. The Tiagra drivetrain is Shimano's 10-speed setup, and it's shifted with an inside finger to put you to harder gear, whole lever over goes to easier gear. And then what's really cool is it operates hydraulic disc brakes that are 2-piston calipers on the front and the rear. And connecting the pedaling to the ground is a Tiagra 2x10-speed drivetrain. So that means up front, we've got 2 speeds, which in this case happen to be a 50-34, and then it goes out back to a nice wide range 11-32 cassette. That, of course, is operated through the Tiagra mechanical derailleurs, and this 2x10 speed drivetrain is going to give just below a 1-to-1 ratio. That's a pretty low gear to be able to climb up most things, but of course with that 11-50 tooth, you're still going to have nice top-end power to be able to pedal it down. And what makes this Tiagra drivetrain nice compared to some of the other ones is that because you still have those hydraulic disc brakes, you're going to get the same high-quality braking that you would on a 105 or higher-end drivetrain, but you've got some low mechanical costs because 10-speed drivetrain parts are still much less expensive than 11-speed and certainly less expensive than the 12-speed that comes on the highest level bikes today. Other things to mention on this bike is going to be how you can add technology to it. So up front is the Bontrager Blender Elite stem. Essentially what the stem is it's got a spot here where you can mount up a GPS, your bike computer, your cell phone, lights, all sorts of things. And then out back, it's got a spot for what they call their DuoTrap S. What the DuoTrap does is that is a spot where you can add in a little Bluetooth sensor back there. It's just a cover from the factory, but you can add it in. And that's going to count how fast you're pedaling, or i.e. your cadence, as well as wheel speed as it comes through, and project that to the bike computer you have on the handlebar or your cell phone, whatever you're choosing to use. Now, going on from that, the cockpit is all aluminum, so that is an aluminum stem, but you also have this aluminum Bontrager handlebar. If you're new to road bikes, the neat thing with a drop bar like this is you're going to have several positions. You can hold your hands right up top. You can hold on the side, right on the curve of the bar, up at the hoods, as well as down low there, and then at the back of the bar. So that means there's 5 positions. So on a long ride, if you're trying to get comfortable, you've got room to be able to shift around on the cockpit. And then out back, your saddle is the Bontrager Verse saddle with a cutout for blood flow downstairs to the tubing, mounted up on an aluminum seat post. Now that seat post is a place that I personally would upgrade this bike first. So with an aluminum seat post here, that's going to transmit some of the vibrations up to your rear end. But just like a carbon fork helps dampen and make the front end of the bike comfortable, for a relatively low amount of money, you can upgrade this aluminum post to a carbon fiber one, for instance, because it's a standard 27.2 millimeter diameter, allowing for a little extra flex in the back end, a bit more comfort, and would be a pretty sweet upgrade to the bike. And speaking of upgrades, the other place I would update if this was my bike is changing out these Bontrager R1 tires. So the R1 tire is a perfectly fine 700 by 32 millimeter tire, but it is a wire bead and not quite as light or as supple as some nicer tires. So that is an easy place that you can upgrade the tire after you wear this one out with a lighter weight Bontrager R3 to get some extra speed and performance out of the bike. Or if you're going to take this gravel riding, there's a lot of great gravel tires that could fit on this as well. So now I think it's time to find out what it weighs. And the actual weight of the Trek Domane AL4 comes in and weighs 23.18 pounds, which isn't bad for a bike that has a total weight capacity of 275 pounds for rider and cargo combined.